Okay, fantastic. Welcome, guys, again to this awesome, epic event where we're here to inspire, to motivate, and to encourage each and every one of us here to keep growing, to keep being more, to keep pushing forward. And right now we've got the fourth speaker, a friend, someone I like to call a brother, Mobu Eberendu, and he is another great guy with a great mission, and he's going to share a bit about his journey as well. And you see, just have an open mind. He's a great guy with a great message, and I think the world needs to hear it. Here we go, Mobo. The floor is yours.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Calvin. And thank you so much for the opportunity, Wisdom Group. It's such a pleasure to share with like minds, brothers and sisters from all over the world. It's really good to have this opportunity to speak to you. So my name is Mobu Eberendu. I'm currently I'm the CEO of AfricExpress, which is a retail brand, quite similar to what AliExpress is doing for China. We are trying to do the same for Africa, and we've got retail outlets here also in England. Our main one based in we are headquartered in Portsmouth at the moment. But prior to that, I've come from a management consulting background, so I've consulted for a lot of companies all over the country, a lot of global companies, and as well as the British government. I've done a lot of work in those areas. But my core areas or my why is providing independence to people's barriers, and the areas of my interest is usually business, purpose, and leadership. Business, purpose, and leadership. And my how happens to be having, whenever I have the opportunity like this to speak, I make myself available. Also, the work I do as an entrepreneur. I'm also an author of two books, African Future Leaders, and another book called The Life of a Youth While You Here. And I'm also a singer-songwriter. So there are a lot of ways I express my why. There are a lot of ways I express my purpose here on earth. Um, so today I want to share with us, considering the current events all over the world. I want to share with us, considering the current events all over the world. And I want to talk to us about resilience and just a few keys that we can, that will encourage us or help us in these current seasons and to really thrive beyond what we are seeing in our world today. And I'll be talking about uh, three key areas. I will be talking about three key areas. One is I want you today, after the conversation we have, to remember your why. I want you to remember your why. I also want you today to have a laser focus on your what. Have a laser focus on your what. And I want to also to consider refining your how. Consider refining your how. I had a very, I had a very long time to think about what I wanted to speak to us about today. And there was a lot I could share. There was a lot I could share. But when I I had discussions with myself, and even up until this morning, as I was listening to Calvin in the morning, I thought that it would be great, it would be great for us to, think about what I call the foundational subjects or foundational necessities of any business or any society or any person. So, first of all, remember your why. So, what is a why? What is a why? I happen to, like I mentioned, come from a project management background, a management consulting background. So I would have a few examples that are a bit relatable to that. So I said, your why is a very high level requirement, a very high level requirement. When a problem is observed, when a problem is seen, your why is a very high level requirement. It identifies the intention to provide a solution to an issue. It identifies the intention to provide the solutions to an issue. So in project management, we have different levels of a business need. You know, a business could, for example, want to, they might want to come into a new market, for example. They might want to come into a new market. So they make their intentions known. We've identified that there is a gap in this market for what we want to, for the products or the services that we provide. We've identified there is a massive gap in this market. So they make their intention known. So as human beings, as people, as entities, as businesses, we must make it clear to understand. We must understand what is that gap, what is that niche, what is that problem that I or my business was destined to solve. And even in this period of crisis, in this period of pandemic, it's a time for you to, if you had, identified your why in the past, this is the time to remember what that why is. I remember a quote from a great guy called Simon Sinek in his book, Starting with Your Why. He says every business, every organization, succeeds or fails from the point of their why. Every individual succeeds or fails from the point of their why. Your why is very unique to you. And I would want to even, I'm a bit of a teacher, so I would want to even go lower in my description of what your why is. So let's imagine, for example, that we are the first set of humans on Earth. And we might assume that we were living in open fields or the forest or around mountains. That could be the case if we were the first set of humans on Earth. And being that was the case, it means that we found ourselves being exposed to the cold, to the rain, to the snow, to deadly animals, and the elements. We found ourselves exposed. So someone might have come back from hunting and seen that a lion had eaten their kid. I know that's a bit that's a bit of that's a bit too much, but just imagine that. Or imagine that it was so cold and everybody froze. So the first set of humans, would have come together and thought, we really need to do something. Something has to be done about our current situation, about our exposure to the elements. So the first set of humans might say something like, as the first set of humans, we want shelter so that we can be protected from the elements in order to reduce deaths amongst us. We want shelter. We want shelter from from this all these things that have been going on. We want shelter. We want shelter. We want a way to protect ourselves. We want a way to shield ourselves from the elements. And this could really be the discussion amongst the first set of humans. However, you would agree with me that having an understanding of, or desiring to have shelter, it's not as easy as it might seem, especially if you consider yourself in the shoes of the first humans who were on earth. They had no example of shelter. The only shelter they had, they knew about, were the caves in the mountains or the under a tree. There was nothing like a house. There was nothing like a caravan. There was nothing like a ship. There was really nothing. There was nowhere to start from. So for them, they had that desire that we need shelter. We need shelter. And this is their why. So they must have gotten about and said, okay, yes, we need shelter, but we have no clue about this. And they might have started exploring what are the things that currently are protecting us from the elements. And as I said, they must have talked about the trees, they must have talked about the cave, and some ideas might have come to them that let's try and recreate the environment let's recreate an ideal environment for ourselves. And I can imagine some suggestions. Someone might have said, oh, we have a lot of mud around us. The mountain looks like mud. Let's mold something. Let's mold something. And then someone might have said, oh, whenever I go under the tree, I found shelter. Let's use the mud house, let's use the mud to mold, and then let's use the trees as our roofs, or let's use the trees to cover. And so many ideas. And someone might have come around and said, oh, let's build a bungalow. Another person might have come around and said, let's build a duplex. I can imagine one of their kids saying, let's build a mansion. And someone who might have been extrapolated to the 21st century or the 20th century, let's build a skyscraper. And the team of elders who had come together to explore this would look at the scenario and, say, okay, we have all these options. We have all these options of things that we can do. However, for you to identify your words, or for you to laser focus, for you to have a laser focus on what you are doing, for you to have a laser focus, you have to eliminate options that are not within your strengths, because you've understood your weaknesses, and therefore you identify your opportunities and your threats. You look at your strengths. What are the resources that we have available? What are the things that we are good at? What are the things, the solutions that we can bring on board? And I imagine the first set of humans, they had looked at themselves and they might have said, oh, we do not have the resources to build a skyscraper. You know, we do not have the bulldozers, we do not have the tools, the sort of tools needed to mold blocks. We don't have this to our disposal. And therefore, maybe after a lot of deliberation, they might have concluded, as the first set of humans, let's build a mud house. Let's build a mud house so that we can have shelter from the elements. As the first set of humans, let's build a mud house so that we can have shelter from the elements. So, as you can see, that when this, you know, from their why, after this has been broken down to their what, there's a little bit more direction. There's a little bit more direction. So your what eliminates choices. Your what, if identified, should eliminate choices. So, you know, but you would understand, or you would agree with me, that that is still not enough. That is still not enough, because as the first set of humans, okay, you've agreed to use mud and use tree leaves to build something, but you have no clue. You have no clue how to go about it or what to do. Then you go on another exploration. You go on another exploration. You start planning. You want to see, what could a house look like? What could my mud house look like? What could my mud house look like? And you've come together, you say, okay, for my mud house, I need a way to access the doors. I need a way to access the house. It can't just be round. There has to be a way I can get in. There has to be a way I can get in. You know, if I get in and leave it open, it means that the lions or the cold that I was trying to avoid from being outside will still catch up with me. So they plan on having something that would act as a barrier or as an entrance to this house. So those sort of discussions begin to occur. They begin to identify those levels of detail. So someone might say, okay, when we are in this place, and if we get in and close this access, and we close this access to ourselves, it might be difficult to breathe, because we're in a place that, you know, is dark, there is no way to see anything, you know, so even breathing might be a problem, might be a challenge. They might not be able to see around themselves. So someone might say, how about we make a hole? How about we make a hole in this, by the side of this house? How about we make a hole? And this is all going on during the time of their planning. And someone else might say, you know, we need those trees to cover. We need those trees to cover the mud house, so that the rain, the snow, the hailstorm, those things will not touch us. You know, and all those things might come up. And you observe that from their why, they've been able to go through different layers and come down to a level of nitty-gritty that they can actually tangibly use to do something. Now, I define your how or your vision as the architectural components that makes up one's purpose. And if I should put this simply, it is purpose in pictures. It is purpose in pictures. It's how you plan to go about fulfilling your why. How you plan to go about fulfilling your why. You know, I happen to be a man of faith. You know, and if we look at the book of Proverbs, it says, where there is no vision, my people perish. Where there is no vision, my people perish. And it's like the point that was made in that particular scripture. You see that when we define mission, we say that mission eliminates the wrong options, or the options that are not within your strength. Mission sets you on a course. Your mission, your what, sets you on a course. But again, you notice that your mission does not tell you what to do. It doesn't tell you what it wants you to do. However, your vision goes into those details and really expatiates on how it wants you to go about achieving the mission and purpose for which you had set out. So your how, in this sense, as the first set of humans, you can say, as the first set of humans, we want a door at the front of the house so that we can easily enter and exit our house. As the first set of humans, we want a window so that we can breathe, so that there can be easy air circulation and we can see, you know, inside our mud house. As the first set of humans, we want a roof so that we are protected from the snow, from the rain, from the excessive sunlight. And as the first set of humans, we want a fireplace so that we can keep ourselves warm from the cold. And all these things might have really been part of their discussion. The next thing I wanted to talk about is I wanted to really I wanted to give practical tips on how you can identify this within your own life and also within your own business. The first tip is that your pain, the pain you feel, the problem you identify is a clue to your why. The pain you feel, the problem you identify is a clue to your why. I mean, you might think that everybody feels the same pain that you feel. You might think that everybody sees the same things that you see. You might think that everybody has the ability to hear the things that you hear. But it is not quite so. Because of the different ways that we have been made and different areas, different skill sets that we have, you notice that when a dentist comes or is looking at you and they're looking directly at your face, you might think that they are watching how beautiful your nose is shaped and how beautiful your hairline is. But a dentist is immediately looking at you and all their attention is drawn to your teeth. All their attention is drawn to your teeth. If you've ever had a carpenter enter a room, he is not looking at your fancy glass table and no. A carpenter is drawn to where is the wood in the house. So sometimes the pain you feel, a mechanic would hear the sound of a car. I mean, yourself and myself, we might hear the car making this sound, and well, it's just a bad day for the car, you know. But the mechanic hears this sound, and immediately his ear is identifying something that is wrong with the car. So the pain you feel, the problems you identify are a clue to your why. Like the first set of humans is the shelter that they didn't have, is their exposure to the elements, the pain they felt from losing their loved ones to the elements. And whichever one of them that identified this as this is a pain, this is a barrier, this is something that I have a problem with, this is something that I want to solve, that became that person's why. And then the next layer, the subject or areas of interest that you have, the subjects or areas of interest that you have and are within your strengths is a clue to your what? The subjects or areas of interest that you like and are within your strengths are a clue to your what? And then if I go down to the next layer, your talents and natural abilities, your talents and natural abilities are a clue to your how. Now, the issue with a lot of organizations is that they look at their talents and natural abilities, and some of them start from there. A lot of individuals start from their talents or natural abilities. Let's say, for example, that you notice that you have a musical voice. You have a musical voice, or you had an affinity, you could play instruments. You start from there. And then a lot of people would go on to say, oh, I'm a musician. Some people will go on to say, I'm a speaker, because they might identify that they love to speak. A lot of people might go on to say, I'm a writer, because they notice that they know how to write. Some people that like watching movies will say, oh, I'm a movie watcher, I'm a movie critic. And a lot of people in our society judge themselves or label themselves from that, and they really struggle. Because if you come into if your how would not make sense, you would, let's say, for example, someone that had musical ability. If you had musical ability, but you did not know what to communicate through your music would be like noise. Your music would be noise. So your talent could actually become noise. Whatever skills that you have and are trying to offer your clients might become noise and might irritate them if you're not sure of your why. If there isn't anything in particular that you are actually trying to solve for them. So we have to start with our why. We have to remember our why. Because at times like this, there is the reason why we set out on this cause that will keep us going. It is, the governments are saying it is going to get tougher. As an entrepreneur, I've felt the pinch, I've felt the challenges, but I know my why. I know why I set out to do what I'm trying to do. And because of that, I'm able to persevere. the resilience is there. So I want to encourage you. In these times, remember your why. Identify, take time off and really think about, why am I really trying to do what I'm trying to do? And it's not fickle. It's not material things. It has to be something that you're willing to do. If every single work that you do was to be paid at 1 cent, 1 pound, or 1 rand, it has to be something you're willing to do, a help that you're willing to provide, irrespective of what you could earn from doing. So we have to know our why, and we have to allow our why decide or help us. We have to allow our why decide or cascade into every other thing that we are doing as people and also as organizations. Finding your why could save your business. Finding your why could save your business. Finding your why could save your life. Finding your why could save your life. News came to me yesterday about someone that is quite close, someone that I know personally, who drank half a bottle of rat poison yesterday in order to stop themselves from facing the miseries that have been brought about, particularly in this period. Whilst I know how painful that could be to her friends and her loved ones, how concerned we felt about her state, because she was found unconscious and she had to be rushed to the hospital. And, by the grace of God, she's doing well. She's recovered a bit, although she's still in hospital. But she tried to kill herself. But if only she has found the reason for her being on earth, I would dare to say that she wouldn't have made that choice at first. Why did you go about to start the company that you started? Why did you start the family that you started? Why did you start the organization that you started? Why did you choose the path that you are on? I want you to reflect on that. Ask yourself those questions. Fine-tune your why. Remember your why. Remember your why. And as I said before, I want you to remember your why. Laser focus on your words. This is not a time to appreciate distractions. There might have been another time whereby if there were distractions, we would have been able to cope through it. But this is a time to really find out, what do I need to focus on? What do I need to focus on? And then this is a time to refine your how. To refine your how. The fact that at the moment you do not have a budget for a lot of the luxuries in this is not a time to buy a new car. This is not necessarily the time to buy a new house. This is the time to invest in becoming the person that can fulfill your why. This is a time to invest in your personal development. This is a time to invest in your organizational development. And this is the time to invest in the people around you. Thank you so much for listening to me. I really appreciate you. And if there are any questions that you have on this area, like I said, I'm a management consultant. So there are, if you have practical issues going on within your organization, before we leave here today, I could actually help you with, or put you on the path or that will help you with the solutions with your business. So thank you again. Thank you, Wisdom. Thank you, Kelvin. I'm glad to be a part of this today. And welcome to the UK Wisdom Group. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for coming.